In the ancient kingdom of Ilarion, nestled between the silver coasts of the Etherian Sea and the mist-veiled peaks of the Marrow Mountains, the old King Thalar IV lay dying. His breath rasped like the rustling of dry leaves, and his once sharp eyes were clouded with age and regret. At his bedside stood his two sons, Prince Cailan, the firstborn, noble and disciplined, and Prince Dorian, the younger, passionate and brilliant, yet unpredictable. The kingdom watched in tense silence. There had been no named heir. King Thalar, bound by tradition and torn by love for both sons, had delayed the decision. Cailan, forged by years of battle and governance, was the natural choice to many, a soldier king in the mold of his forefathers. But Dorian, the scholar and reformer, had won the hearts of many common folk and younger nobles who longed for change. The court splintered. As the sun set behind the obsidian spires of the royal keep, King Thalar summoned his sons for one final audience. His voice, now no more than a whisper, carried the weight of empires. "I built this kingdom with fire and steel, but it must live on through wisdom and unity." He looked to both. "Only one of you can wear the crown, but both must preserve the realm." The next morning the king was dead. No name had been spoken. No document sealed. The throne of Ilarion stood empty. Cailan, as firstborn, moved swiftly. Backed by the High Council, the army, and the priesthood, he declared himself king, invoking the law of lineage. Dorian, however, did not kneel. He rode to the southern provinces, where the fires of rebellion had long simmered, and raised his banner, the Crescent of Renewal. His supporters proclaimed a different law. The Decree of the Chosen, an ancient statute allowing the people's voice to determine their sovereign in times of uncertainty. The kingdom fractured. Cities took sides. Brothers became enemies. War loomed. The war lasted 3 years. Cailan, commanding the Royal Guard and the elite Order of the Wolf, led a disciplined, brutal campaign. He sieged cities loyal to Dorian, crushing resistance with tactical precision. He wore armor black as night and carried the ancestral sword, Gravemark. Dorian, the people's prince, waged a war of strategy and spirit. His forces, though smaller, were fast and motivated. He allied with merchants, freedmen, and former outcasts, promising a kingdom reformed, one where the low could rise. In the marshes of Velthar, they clashed for the first time, a battle that left 2,000 dead and neither side victorious. In the aftermath, a village was razed by Cailan's men. Dorian responded by executing a captured general. The war was no longer one of ideals, but of blood. In the 4th year, winter came early and cruel. Food grew scarce. Morale faltered. Spies whispered of betrayal within both camps. Cailan began to question his own cause. Every village he conquered seemed less grateful than the last. Dorian, too, saw the cost of his rebellion: burned fields, dead children, hollow cheers from a people drowning in war. One night, as snow blanketed the ruined ruins of Ironmere, the two princes met in secret. They spoke not as rivals but as brothers. "You think the people want freedom," Cailan said. "They want peace. Stability. And you think ruling with fear will bring peace?" Dorian replied. "We have become monsters in the name of righteousness." Silence fell. Then Dorian made an offer, a duel. One brother would live. One crown would rise. No more war. Cailan agreed. They met at dawn beneath the weeping tree, a sacred place untouched by war. No armies. No audience. Only two brothers and the gods watching. Cailan wielded Gravemark, its blade etched with the names of kings. Dorian carried Windglass, a curved saber of foreign design, gifted by a desert queen whose people he had once saved. The fight was savage, a dance of fury, love, and despair. Cailan's strength met Dorian's speed. Blood stained the snow. Words became grunts. Memories flashed. Laughter in the old garden, sword lessons with their father, the first time they saw the sea. At last, Cailan fell to one knee, Windglass at his throat. Dorian froze. But he could not strike. Instead, he dropped his blade. I won't become the thing we fought against, he said. Kalin, breathing hard, nodded. Then I will. He rose, turned, and plunged Gravemark into the frozen ground. Together, then, as kings, or neither as one. The war of brothers ended not with a victor, but with unity. The throne of Valerian became the twin throne, a council led by both princes, blending strength with vision, tradition with reform. Kalin oversaw defense, justice, and order. Dorian led diplomacy, education, and civil rights. It was not always easy. They argued, struggled, and nearly broke again. But in time, the kingdom healed. And when the weeping tree bloomed again, for the first time in 100 years, it bore 2 blossoms, one gold, one silver. Just like the brothers who saved a kingdom by refusing to destroy it. In the year following their shared rule, the kingdom of Valerian entered a golden, yet uneasy, age. The royal capital, Valaisar, buzzed with debates and celebration. The twin crown was no longer a myth but a reality, carved into law by decree and ceremony. Kalin and Dorian, once enemies, now sat side by side in a high council rebuilt from both factions. It was a fragile alliance, held together not by shared vision, but by exhaustion and memory. Tensions simmered beneath the surface. Kalin's generals distrusted Dorian's reforms. Dorian's allies feared Kalin's shadow over the military. Both brothers knew. The peace was real, but it had shallow roots. Then came rumors of a third claimant. From the eastern borderlands, a warlord rose, Ser Calrex of Nerith, claiming to be a son of Thalafor, born of a secret union with a moon priestess. The story, wild and ancient, held strange weight. He bore the mark of the eclipse, a crescent-shaped scar said to appear only in those with true royal blood. Calrex's banner, black with a white eclipse, gathered followers quickly. Disillusioned soldiers, exiled nobles, and shadowy zealots who believed the war had never truly ended. He called Kalin and Dorian false sons. And he marched toward Valaisar. As Calrex approached, mistrust festered within the court. Kalin's advisors urged a preemptive strike. Dorian called for parley and proof. A split widened, not between the people, but within the palace itself. At night, Kalin stood on the battlements, staring into the misty dark. He wondered if Dorian's mercy, once a source of admiration, had left them vulnerable. Meanwhile, Dorian questioned if Kalin's discipline had become inflexible dogma. Assassins slipped through the city. 2 counselors were found dead, their tongues removed, the sign of the Silent Order, an old cult Calrex had once led in exile. Then came the letter. Brothers by law, not by blood. The true son returns to Calrex. To verify Calrex's claim, the ancient ritual of bloodstone was invoked, a rite so sacred it hadn't been performed in 100 years. Dorian and Kalin both gave blood before the Wormstone, a relic that pulsed in shades only seen by truth-seers. When Calrex's blood touched it, the stone glowed. He was a true heir. The court erupted. Legally, Calrex could claim a right to rule, but he did not want to share. He demanded the throne, not a seat beside it. Dorian saw an opportunity. Perhaps Calrex could be reasoned with, brought into a triad of rulers. Kalin believed only war could settle it. Once more, the kingdom prepared for battle. Calrex's army swept across the eastern plains. With a strange mix of faith and fire, they tore down village walls and built temples to the eclipse. Loyalists who resisted were crucified. Others joined out of fear or awe. The siege of Valaisar began on the eve of the harvest moon. Arrows fell like rain. The city's defenders, former enemies from the War of Brothers, now stood side by side. Kalin led the walls, sword in hand. Dorian rode among the people, organizing the defense from the streets, building fire lines and escape tunnels. Inside the city, food ran short. Disease spread. Morale withered. Outside, Calrex waited, knowing winter would do the work for him. Until a ghost arrived. From the desert lands of Zareth, across the Bone Sea, came Queen Celera, a former ally of Dorian. She brought 5,000 riders, sun-scarved and silent. Her son, a child of Dorian's lost love, rode at her side.